off. They put
mistake there was to make. And,
no teachers.
A guy down the street kind of showed me the basics,
Yeah.
but everything else I had to figure out on my own.
Okay.
Has
that been a theme, a running theme in your life? Like kind of figure stuff out on your own, or what?
I never thought about it, but maybe so. You
Just
know,
curious.
like nobody showed me how to make traps or how to do any of this. I'm an engineer, so that's why I had a mechanical engineering degree. I was in the Marine Corps, got out, and I've been an engineer ever since.
Yeah.
So I just have that knack, I guess, to sit back and, how do I want to do this? And sometimes I do it right the first time, sometimes I don't. So, you know, which is the case with lobstering and this. To get to this point, the bicycle baskets and the bird feeders, although I've got the dimensions and how to make it down to a science, I could fill this room with mistakes that I made until I got to that point.
Yeah.
And road testing, and well, that didn't work. Let's do this, and which is what I'm doing with this cart. Well, first time was okay, but it could be better. So yeah, I guess I'm.
But you never had any fear about that, though, right? It sounds like mistakes going into it are okay, or
What's the worst that can happen?
Yeah,
I don't do it right.
Right.
You know? So nobody gets hurt.
Yeah.
And
I think a lot of people, what do they say? It's paralysis by analysis or something. Like the idea of it, like thinking about what could go wrong, stops them from actually doing that.
Yeah, I'm sure that there's probably some of those things that I've had, but I've made enough mistakes in my life that making things and doing things that, God, if that stopped me, I wouldn't do anything. You know.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's. I guess I never thought about it. Yeah, I just figured it out.
Yeah.
You know, and it's never right first time.
It's fascinating that you went from mechanical engineering, which most people would think you're set as far as jobs are concerned, and then you went into lobstering. Was that just because the base changed up there?
I was both. You know, I don't. I've got a commercial license, and but I don't do it for a living.
Okay, so it was already like supplementary.
Yes.
Or like, okay.
Yeah. It was a side hobby.
Yeah.
And I continued working. I retired as a full-time engineer last year.
Okay.
And I started this business with the bike baskets 4 years ago, I guess.
Okay.
With looking ahead to what was next. I'll never get rich on it, but it's paid its way, and it's been fun. You know, it's I find I'm being creative. I love, like you said, I've never done. Well, let me see what I can figure it out. You know, I just make creating things.
So to transition into that, was there any like moment where you were like on the boat and you're like some bird? Like, what was the moment where you're like, I gotta make stuff out of this?
I bike a lot.
Yeah.
I bike several thousand miles a year. And
wow.
So I was at a stoplight one time, waiting, and there was another biker there that had one of those plastic milk jug crates on his bike. I don't know, I was just looking at it, and something clicked. I said, I could do better than that.
Yeah.
So then I just started thinking, and I've had other ideas in my life, and I run them by my wife, and she says, most of them, she says, no, that's a pretty stupid idea. Don't do that. And, but I ran that one by her, and she said, that's a good idea. So I said, okay, you know, if she thinks it's a good idea, it's probably a good idea. So I started playing with things and went from there.
Wow.
You know, I started building things and trying things out. I know some bike shop owners and told them what I was thinking about and showed them some things and worked with them and
made a couple prototypes.
Made a lot of prototypes and had them road tested down in New York City and Brooklyn, where my daughter has some friends. I figure they can withstand that use.
Was that where that video came from?
That's where the video came from.
That was cool.
It was a friend of my daughter's is a budding videographer.
Okay.
So I paid him to make a video, and at the same time, we road tested the the baskets down there.
Sweet.
So and then as a result of that, made some changes, and that's what it evolved into what it is today.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So one of the things, kind of staying in the beginning of the process, you were saying your wife usually checks you. Did you have any doubts, or what was the first what was the first thing where you're like, okay, I got to overcome this before this is going to work? Or was there anything that was like, maybe just getting started even could have been
I guess I'd never made any lobster traps before. I'd fixed them, but I'd never made them. I had to figure out. So the place I buy my traps from, and buy my parts from, I said, what do you use to make these things? And so they were good enough. They said, you need this, and I said, okay, all right, and nobody showed me how to use them. I just had to figure it out. And I guess I was all excited about it. I never was overwhelmed by any one thing. I just had to decide how big do I want to make it, and I had to develop a quick release. So I had to make it so people can take it on and off easily. That was probably the hardest thing, was trying to figure out a unique and simple way. I guess when you're an engineer, elegantly simple is a term we use. You know?
My brother,
it may look complicated, but it's not.
Yeah.
So
appropriate technology or something.
Yeah, if you can call it technology, it's wire. You know?
Yeah, I mean, like, I had an engineer buddy, and he got into this thing called, I think it was called appropriate technology, and the idea was bring stuff to developing nations that just worked and wasn't BS. So like a foot pump to pump water. It's like the minimum necessary technology is the best when you consider some complicated tech thing that could break down, like electronic.
Like there's actually, I remember there's a book called The Ugly American about U.S. participation. It was before we got involved in Vietnam. But anyway, it was how a guy that was not attractive, the ugly American, developed a way of pumping water using bicycles. Because nobody had motors, no gasoline, and they had to pump the water uphill to the rice paddies.
Wow.
And this has been a long time since I read the book. I'm paraphrasing. This is what I remember. But he used a bicycle and a simple way of, and they would just ride the bike and would pump the water uphill. So I guess that's appropriate technology. Not get too fancy, because if it breaks, nobody can fix it.
Yeah.
You know, if you get too fancy.
My brother's a software engineer, and their motto is KISS.
Keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah.
That's what you're taught that in college.
Yeah.
You know, the KISS principle. So that was probably the most complicated part. And usually what happens, I'll sit there and stare at something, and I don't get, and just trying to figure it out. And days, weeks will go by, and I'm just coming up dry, and I'll wake up in the middle of the night and go, yeah, that's what it is. And in 5 minutes, I'm done. I figured it out.
Nice.
And that's what happened with the quick release. I guess there's nothing right here I can show you, but it's like, yeah, that'll work. And it did. And once I tried it out, and so I get inspired, I guess, sometimes. You know, it's just the way I work. I just sit there, stare, think about a problem, like you said, overanalysis, and then the light bulb goes on. I say, oh, I can do this. So, and it's a very simple way of taking the baskets off the bike, and people really like it. It's a no-brainer.
Is there any lessons, tools, or ideas that you could apply from lobstering or engineering? And you've kind of answered this a lot already, so this was kind of redundant, but is there any, like a technical approach that you took to bring into this? And I had an example. I'm looking for like universal rules, like things people do that can work across industries, and one of them is the 80-20 rule, where they say 80% of your good results come from 20% of your habits, and 80% of your bad results are coming from 20% of your bad habits. So if you can just tweak, like, certain things you're doing are giving you way more results than a lot of the other BS.
I never thought about it that way. And I never heard
And KISS is an example. We've already kind of hit on it, and we can just blow this one up.
I guess, well, don't be afraid of failure.
Yeah.
You've heard that before and read it before.
Yeah.
I'm a perfect example. I've screwed so many things up, and it's just, if you learn from it, then it's good. It's good failure, you know.
Yeah.
If you keep
good failure.
If you keep doing the same thing over, what's the classic definition of insanity? Yeah. Doing the same thing over and over, but expecting a different result each time.
Right. So being willing to adapt.
Be willing to fail, keeping in, seeing what other people are doing, and don't be afraid to ask silly questions. Know your market. You know, you can make lots of things, but if nobody's gonna buy it, what's the point?
That's big.
And so I'm making different things to see what sells.
Yeah.
Like the bird feeders, I started making those, and
they're taking off.
Yeah, because the market's much bigger than bicycle baskets.
Yeah.
It's just math. You know, statistics. More people are going to buy bird feeders than going to buy bike baskets.
That's huge.
Baskets. Yeah. If we were in Denmark, where everybody rides a bike, might not be so much, you know.
Yeah.
But it's still not a bike-friendly culture here.
No, it isn't.
In Maine, or in the U.S. I mean, different places are, you know, more so than others.
Let's go back to that testing or validating the idea, because everybody has ideas.
Yeah.
So they might not be good.
My wife is, she's very smart, and she's very intuitive, and I know from experience, run something by her first, to see if it's a good idea, and she'll be honest with me, and we'll talk about it. And like I said, most of the ideas I've had, it's a pretty stupid idea, Jim. So, but this one she liked.
Can you think of any right now that might have been like a pet? At the time, you're like, oh yeah. I'm trying to think myself.
No, nothing really on the spur of the moment here. No, nothing comes to mind. It's just I've had enough. Like I said, I've done this over the years enough, and you know we've been married for a long time, and I trust her judgment.
Yeah. So did the bird feeders just recently start taking off, or
I just started making them this year.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just making them this year,
and then it just. And it's giving you a lot more feedback than the bike baskets.
Yeah, and that's why if I can, and I could sell more. It's just limited by how much I can get out and sell.
Yeah.
To people, I got them in hardware stores, and lawn and garden places, and so mostly.
They might have the idea, and then maybe they're gonna try to execute it, but how are they gonna? Like anything that you've learned in your sales in face-to-face or over-the-phone sales, like
the worst
can help people to like get over that fear to get out there, you know, like they can't stay in their basement forever.
Yeah. The worst, if you're trying to sell to somebody, the worst thing they can say is no.
Yeah, and that's not a big deal.
Then I go on to the next guy.
Yeah.
You know, it's really, you know, I've been when you're doing sales, whether it be engineering or this stuff. You're going to get no more than you're going to get yes.
Right.
But those yeses you forget all the no's.
Yeah.
When you get that one yes.
Yeah.
I don't know, it doesn't scare me, I guess.
Yeah. Were you always confident through that?
I was not.
How did you develop?
Back when I was a young engineer, there was, it was in the late 80s.
Yep.
When the economy took a dip and we became very slow. The mills we were doing all paper mill work. There was a time when there was not a lot of work, and I remember 2 weeks went by and I did not have one billable hour.
Wow.
And in consulting engineers, just like lawyers, you get paid by the hour.
Yeah.
And if you're not working on a project, you're not making money.
Yeah.
So, and I just don't like to sit there and do nothing.
Yeah.
So I went to the boss and said, you know, this is driving me crazy. Do you mind if I go and call on a couple of the clients I've done work for in the past and see if they got any work? And it's funny, I still remember Martin Grant. He looked up from his desk like, that's awesome, you know. It's like nobody's ever asked me that before. And
wow.
I just remember that look on his face. because most people would rather just sit there, even if they're not busy, and just collect a paycheck, and that was driving me crazy. And I had 2 little kids, and I didn't want to get laid off.
Yeah.
And what I learned, and then so I did. I went down, I made some calls, and I went down to the mill in Connecticut, and he said, "Yeah, I got some stuff you can do." So what happened in the company, because it was so slow, they put everybody on 4-day weeks. They cut everybody's hours by 20%. But I was able to keep myself and a draftsman busy, 40 hours a week, 40 hours plus. So I never got cut back. So what I learned was that if you can sell something, you will always have a job.
Nice.
And I guess maybe that's one of those other universal truths.
Yeah, nice.
If you can sell something, it doesn't matter what it is, you'll have a job. So I tell anybody that will listen, especially the engineers engineers in college, because they are, having been through it, they are so focused on all their technical courses and math and doing all this. I want to tell them, and I do tell them if the situation's right, I said, all that shit, you'll never use it.
Yeah.
They just make you go through that stuff. And I tell them, if I could go back and tell my professors the things they made me do the most, which is the hard science, the math, the really technical geek stuff, I use that the least. What do I use the most? I got to be able to write.
Yeah.
I got to be able to put a sentence together. I got to be able to write a coherent sentence, and I got to be able to speak to people.
Wow.
If they would make the engineers, this is my opinion, they would make the engineers do a lot more writing, because engineers suck at writing. I've become very good at it, and I don't mind saying that. And I've read so much crap coming from engineers, guys that are a lot more years on, a lot more gray hair than me, and you just wonder how they get so far. But anyway, they got to be able to write, and you got to be able to speak to people.
Okay.
Because if you got a project, if you can't either sell it or convince people that what you're designing is going to work, you're not going to go very far. You know? So another truth, you got to be able to write, you got to be able to speak. So and not be afraid. You can be nervous.
Yeah.
You can be scared, but you got to do it.
Yeah.
So, and once you done it enough, what's the worst thing that happen? Well, you make a mistake.
Yeah.
So I don't want to do that again. So as long as you learn from your mistakes.
Yeah.
So anyway, digressing.
Oh, you did great. That was awesome. Yeah, my wheels are spinning because my main mentor, who I is a mentor but not in person, just through his books and videos and all that crap.
Yeah.
Grant Cardone, he's all about sales, and that's what his life mission is to say to everybody, like artist, teacher, engineer, doctor, that you're always in sales.
Always.
Redefining what sales is communication and finding problems from people and being able to articulate that and then present something that solves the problem.
Yeah.
And it's nowhere in school from the beginning to the end.
No.
It's totally absent.
Yeah. I remember an old engineer told me everything begins with a sale.
Yeah.
If you don't have a sale, you got nothing.
So
whether it be cars,
engineering,
making bike baskets, lobstering. You got to be able to sell the lobsters. If you don't, we're just feeding crabs out there.
Right. So, otherwise, nobody cares.
Nobody cares. That's right.
Taking initiative, like you just highlighted something that's probably a mindset. Like there's those mindset opposites, like abundance versus scarcity. Like there's more than enough out there, or there's not enough, and I got to protect what's mine. You were saying a lot of people, which is very true, would rather just get the paycheck and do the minimum amount possible. Yeah. You were getting sick of it, and you took initiative to get more.
Yeah, I guess I did.
And it paid fruited.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm like listening to people complain about their wages and stuff, and they're just wanting more wage for what they're already doing, but they're not willing to do anything different. Like, what could you say to that? Like,
people are afraid of change. It may be good change, or it may be bad change.
Yeah.
But people don't like to change.
Yeah.
And especially if, you know, their grandfather, their grandfather, their father, their brothers all worked in the mills.
Yeah.
And now there's no mill.
Yeah, good
all right?
example.
And if you cannot go back to the way it was. And that's just the way it is. And as soon as you accept that, your eyes will open up. There's all kinds of opportunities. If people would say, well, the world is different now. So I guess, when I say self-driving cars, that's the way the world's going.
Yeah.
People are going to fight it.
Yeah.
Because that's not the way it was. But people probably also fought when cars came in. They didn't like cars.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe they
grandpa
did.
Was like, you ain't riding a horse anymore.
Yeah, people they think the old ways were better. Well, if the old ways were so much better, they'd still be doing it.
Yeah.
You know, horses. Cities were a smelly, rotten mess back when everybody rode horses because they crapped all over the roads, and you had to have road crews to clean up the crap, and you know. The range, you got sewage running in the streets, and there's unhealthy kids running around barefoot. They get sick.
Oh wow!
You know, because they got sores in their feet, and then they get, you know, running through a sewage. People actually, maybe somewhat of a contradiction. Back when cars were looked at as the answer to all this pollution. Well, then now you know people died, and people got used to the way they was, and now cars were the problem of the pollution, air pollution. Well. You know, so now things are, you know, all kinds of things involved. They're going to, and now self-driving cars. I think it's going to be great because, especially I'm a baby boomer. We get old, we can't drive anymore. But if we can have a self-driving car, if we can get in the car, still take me where I want to go.
Yeah.
I don't have to worry about driving anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it gets back to people are afraid of change.
Right, right.
And and again, that I said before, that classic definition of insanity. If you keep wanting to do the same thing but expect a different outcome, you know, it's not going to work. So the mill closed down. Well, either you got to do something different, you got to move, you got to get an education in something different, or invent something, come up with something people will want to use.
Yeah.
If you want to be paid more, or make a good living, you've got to be able to do something that people are willing to pay more money for.
Yeah.
You know, if you just want to sweep floors, well, you're going to limit yourself to what you can make. You probably have a job, but you'll never get rich. But if you want to make more money, you got to do something that people think has enough value that they're willing to pay you more.
So they realize they don't want to be insane. They've been doing the same shit over and over, and they want something different.
Yeah.
So they got to find something that people want, right? They got to. It can't just be up in your own head. It's got to be in the other heads of the people.
Right.
What do they need?
Yeah.
So can you think of any like essential first steps, like attitude change, a thinking change, or just simple action step? Like what could people do out there? Because yours came from divine inspiration on the friggin' seeing the bike thing. Like, if that doesn't come, because you're a creative person, so what about can they collaborate with people? Can they find ideas?
Open your eyes, I guess. See, that's tough because everybody's different.
You're getting into something. Opening your eyes triggers a memory of, like, it's one of those perception shifts things that I'm trying to talk about. So like if you're just focused on your own problems every day, there's no way you're going to be looking out and seeing the guy with the bike basket and thinking, like, is there anything we can flesh out there that's like how to get out of your own realm? Because I don't even think these people can be creative if they're just like, well, man, my life sucks.
I guess based on my wife is one of the most caring people I ever known, and she's always thinking about other people. So you would be surprised, and if you start helping other people, whether it's crossing the street or go to an assisted living place or see some guy broken down on the road or something, you just start helping other people, and you will experience and see different things. Like then you may say, there's more people have the same problem. I wonder if I could make something or do something that solves that problem. Or you start looking around, look at all the roofs around, and there's a lot of bad shingles around here. How many roofers are in town? Maybe I could learn to be a roofer.
Yeah.
Or,
So that's great. So if I were to simplify that into 2 bullet points, it would be start helping other people and look for for problems. It doesn't have to come from here. It can be.
Yeah.
People have a ton of problems.
Oh yeah. If you could, for a perfect example, lobstering. If you could figure out how to get rid of the green crabs, you would be a millionaire overnight.
Yeah.
Because it's eating all the oysters, the baby oysters. If you figure out how to take care of the green crabs, there's a problem right there that needs to be solved.
So the oyster farmers, like the aquaculture people,
or I should say oyster clams. I should say not oysters.
Is it
clams.
The people that are going and finding them or raising them?
They're the green crabs are eating the seed. The the green crabs are eating the small clams. So the clams just aren't there. They can't grow because they're not there. They're getting eaten.
And green crabs, they haven't figured out a delicacy for them yet, or what?
No, I remember reading an article last year. Some guy was trying to figure out how to see if somebody Japanese, maybe they like green crabs.
Yeah.
Can you then, develop another market?
Yeah. My dad's got a good story you might like. He had a lobsterman buddy with him in the air guard that worked in like the MDI area.
Yeah.
And he visually remembers this story that he used to tell me of the guy like pulling up the trap and like it being full of urchins.
Yeah.
And he like dumps the urchins out and he's cussing and he like he's like, "You want to see what we do with these, Mike?" And he has this big wooden stick.
Yeah.
And he just starts smashing them to pulp and then he just chucks them overboard. And he explained like, I don't know when it was, but there was some point where they're like, this is a rare delicacy in Japan.
I know it.
And it just completely turned that problem into something valuable.
Yeah, but then they got overfished, and now you can't hardly find them.
Really?
Yeah, I used to have them in my traps all the time down here. I don't remember the last time I seen an urchin, because people getting a lot of money for them.
Yeah.
And so they're gone. Well, here's a perfect example. I was over here at Richmond Island. I'm pulling up a trap last week, and I have a bunch of snails in them. The big conchs, we call them, and I don't know the right term for them. But I remember asking where I take my lobsters over at Alewives. I said, does anybody want these? And I said, oh my God, you get those things bringing me people killed for those. So I got there's one certain area out there by Richmond Island where there's a lot of them, so I was able to make more money.
When was this?
Last week.
Okay, so this is fresh.
Oh
you
yeah,
figured this out.
No pun intended. Fresh, yeah. So I pulled up the trap, and as I'm pulling up this, man, it sounds, I have a winch, but it said, man, it sounds like a lot of weight in that trap.
Yeah.
Well, it's filled with these snails.
Yeah.
So I just remembered, so was a lot of money? No, but it, helped pay for bait. And so I used to throw them away. I'm not going to do that anymore.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
so
awesome.
It's an opportunity. What is it? There's another saying, when preparation meets opportunity. That's what luck is.
Right.
Yeah. One of those.
That's something I've been seeing pop up a lot lately, is like you do the work consistently, like the preparation, and then the opportunity presents itself and you take it, and people are prone to calling that luck, and they're prone to calling it like, oh, you're an overnight success.
Yeah.
And they don't see like the tons of work and prep behind it to like seize that opportunity. They just think it's like, oh, you just got lucky, that thing appeared. I just haven't had my break yet.
Yeah.
Value of patience or the value of where you put your focus. Those are kind of two things. Has that ever been?
By nature, I'm not very patient, but I've gotten better, and more patient for something than others.
We can shift over to focus too. I kind of made these like little scrappers. So like,
I can
where you put your attention.
I'm very focused, and I'll make lists when I think of something. In fact, I've got a running list on my phone. When I think of something, I write it down, and then I just remember, look at this and say, oh, I need to do this, I need to do that. And luckily and not everybody's that way, but when I'm focused on something, in fact, my wife gets mad, I don't hear things. I'm just intent on what I'm doing, and she'll be talking to me, I won't even hear her. So it's good to be focused, but sometimes you get to a point that I'm getting tired, or then I'll stop doing it, and then come back to it. But, yeah. And patience, like I said, I'm not. I could be more patient. Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that's a bad thing.
I'm trying to adopt that right now as a focus. Patience with action, though, not patience like just waiting for something to happen. Patience with like trying to have a bigger perspective of like, well, if I've been somebody to start and stop things, so I'm like, when I'm into something, I'm all in. Yeah. And then, like, I get over that first reward hump where it starts to get hard and unglamorous, and then you have to, like, so trying to get gigs with the digital marketing and video marketing.
Yeah.
I know I'm just going to have to, like, I'm going to have to keep going to people, but I got to be patient in a way to be like, I'm not going to just suddenly be making 10 grand a month off 5 recurring clients. That might take me a year to friggin' get to.
Yeah. I guess that's true. I guess I do that
maybe
unknowingly.
Yeah, maybe that can relate to the...
Well, it's persistence.
Like, why have you stuck at this? Why have you kept with this?
I see there's opportunity there.
Yeah.
I enjoy doing it. There's opportunity. Maybe I can finally hit on a few products that are really popular that, now I got to start ramping up production. How do I ramp up production? Do I start hiring people? Right now it's just me. Yeah. I'm able to handle everything. But it'd also be nice if I could get something started. My son's in the military. It'd be nice if when he gets done that he may have something to come back to, because he wants to come back to Maine.
Yeah.
But like you were saying with your relatives up in Carmel, there's not a lot up there, and
right.
I'm not sure what he'll come back to.
Yeah.
Be nice if he could help me out and take it from there, and who knows where it'll go.
Yeah. So you're thinking ahead too, like when it's time to scale, you're gonna have to, but right now it's not the foremost issue. It's just
I tell people I want this to do well, but I'm not so sure I want it to do too well because then I would have to hire people, and then that's pressure. Now you gotta keep at it because you gotta pay these people.
Yeah.
And when it's just me, sales are doing this, I can get by.
Yeah.
It's just me. So, but when you get other people involved, then that's a different animal. So you really gotta. I've got to make sure I mentally want to make that leap.
Yeah.
So,
I think you're gonna.
Well, hope so. I'm hoping we can work something out on those ads.
I think once that funnel gets going, I really do think that's going to work.
I got to increase the number of products I have. That's one thing I figured out. Bike Baskets is so focused a group that it'll. And in fact, before I even made one thing, I went and found some numbers, some statistics. How many people bike? How many people own a bike? How many people bike? And I'm going down and doing percentages. Just I call it anal extraction.
Yeah.
To figure out how many people would actually buy my baskets, and well, I'm not going to get rich on that, which has proven to be correct. But that's why I need to make other things.
Yeah.
Like the bird feeders and maybe these carts, and I'm making condiment holders, like stuff, ketchup, salt and pepper, ketchup, things you put on your picnic table. But my focus as of now is lobster trap. Everything made from lobster.
Yeah.
Lobster trap components. So that's my shtick.
Yeah.
So
that's the theme.
That's the theme, I guess.
Yeah.
And making different colors, because I know 90% of my customers are women. So I focus on how do they think. Because retail, I grew up I was an engineer in retail. I'm a guy. Do I shop? No.
Right.
I know what I want.
That's the way it is, I think, across a lot of markets.
Yeah, I know what I want. I go in and buy it, and I leave. women like to touch, and they like colors, and they think differently than guys.
Yeah.
So it's actually been very interesting what catches their eye.
Yeah.
And I've enjoyed that part. Yeah.
It's just going on random tangents in my mind. It sounds like maybe, like, probably the wife helps a lot.
Yeah,
like you've said.
Yeah, I make something. What do you think of this? And
your daughter.
Yeah,
she give feedback.
Yep, she does. But she's busy with her own life in Colorado, so it's not so convenient.
Yeah.
But my wife and her friends, female, I will. I say they're my little focus groups. And what do you think of this? And they'll tell me.
Yeah.
You know, and change this, and or they'll say they like it. So, they're my focus group.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of want to beat that. I want to beat that point in. So, like, getting help. I just want to say that again because I'm just thinking of the person that's thinking they're going to do this all on their own and not relate to the outside world.
It can't happen.
Yeah.
You know, if they think they can do it all, so they can, once they interact with everybody, and they can focus and start making it, whatever it is they're making it or doing it. But you got to react with. You're going to have people. You're going to buy stuff from people. And you'd be surprised how you if you think you know it all, start talking to other people. You'd be surprised what you learn from guys, old lobstermen or guys at the lobster supply store. And for instance, I used to, when I first started, I bought rolls of wire just like toilet paper. But I'd pull it off the roll, I'd cut it, but then it's metal, so it has a memory. It's art, so I'd have to straighten it out.
Yeah.
And I was talking to the guys at the.
This stuff comes in rolls. Is that?
Yeah, it's just like in different. You come up to like 4 feet wide.
Yeah.
And they have standard sizes.
Yeah.
And it's just pain in the butt.
Yeah.
Because it's time. And he said, well, just buy the sizes. Order the sizes you need, and the guys that make the traps up at the trap mill up in where they make it, they have a straightener. So now I buy it just like that. It's all straight, all cut to the size I need.
Yeah.
And just like, I guess don't be afraid to talk to people if you're having, if you think you can do something can be done a better way, to start talking to people, and you'd be surprised what they come up with.
Yeah, and they don't even have to be like, these guys are not. They're in the industry where your materials are coming from, but they're not in the industry of making. So like these, you're not necessarily even profiling who's going to give you the help. You're more open about like it could come from anywhere. Yeah. And
you'd be surprised with some people because they don't even as open as I think I am. I have my own little blinders on sometime, and somebody. I'll be talking to usually the guys at the trap shop. I'll be talking to them and say, why don't you do this? It's like, why don't I do that? That's pretty smart, why didn't I think of that? Like, duh. So,
there's some bigger lesson in that, I think, about people being created. Everybody's different, and there's a big strength in that, in like the diversity of what people have, their own orientation or whatever. And it's like, if you can appreciate that rather than, I don't know. Yeah,
it's just don't think you know it all, and don't have a big ego. Ask a question, and I've learned I try to ask questions that people cannot answer with a yes or no, especially in people I just meet.
Yeah.
And I've taught my kids that ask people leading questions. What'd you do this weekend? You can't answer that with a yes or no.
Right.
And but anyway, I guess that kind of off the subject a little bit.
No,
when I'm talking to
valuable.
people about things I have, I try to ask them the questions and let them talk.
Yeah.
See what they say.